You know, all the talk about Pinocchio last time got me thinking, and it somewhat reminds me of Aladdin.
The Disney film?
Well, yeah, and the original story.
Oh, right. I forgot. Disney rarely does their own original stories. What about Pinocchio reminds you of Aladdin?
It's just that, like Pinocchio, Disney took roughly the same amount of material from the original and mixed it in with all their, other Disney stuff.
It's been a while. What was the Disney's Aladdin about?
All right, the real short version. Some orphan kid who is kind of good at acrobatics and stuff meets this super hot princess who he saves from having her hand cut off because she was caught stealing an apple.
Wow, it has been a while. I don't remember it being that dark.
Even the Disney version is fairly dark at times. In the first 10 minutes, they straight up get a guy killed, and a talking Gilbert Gottfried parrot, rest in peace, struts around talking about how the guy they just got killed was basically a piece of unworthy trash.
Oh, wow, that is, yikes.
These kids start to catch feelings for each other. Well, he finds out she's a princess who realizes it can never be.
'Cause he's an orphan street urchin and she's royalty.
Exactly. Then there's this Jafar guy who looks like a cartoon version of Prince the musician. Jafar's a kind of sorcerer, and he's looking for a magic lamp. And he needs this Aladdin to get it for him. He takes Aladdin to the cave where the lamp is. He grabs a lamp while his pet monkey tries to steal some stuff, and a cave starts to, cave in.
As they are wont to do.
He reaches for Jafar's hand, but Jafar only cares about the lamp, and once he has it, he shoves Aladdin and his monkey down into the cave, basically being trapped forever.
At least he has his monkey friend.
He realizes the monkey, Abu,
Snafu,
something like that, stole the lamp back from Jafar. He rubs the lamp and Robin Williams, also rest in peace, big blue genie pops out. And through a lot of song and Robin Williams stand-up, Aladdin hears the rules of the lamp.
Oh, 3 wishes, no falling in love, no zombies, yada yada.
Absolutely. He manages to sort of trick the genie into getting out of the cave without using one of the wishes, and then uses the first wish to become a prince so he can marry Princess Jasmine. The princess realizes he's Aladdin and is okay with the whole thing so far.
Right, that's when the famous magic carpet ride happens.
A whole new world and all that. Also, toward the end of the song, they are somehow in China watching some festival. Remember, this was something we'll talk about later.
Oh, okay. We'll put a pin in that.
When they get back to the palace, Jafar tries to have Aladdin killed by throwing him into the sea and drowning him. While this is happening, Jafar also hypnotizes the Sultan, the princess's father, and has him try to force the princess to marry him, Jafar.
This Disney film really likes murdering people.
I told you, it was kind of dark. It's not even the darkest part. Aladdin smashes the magic staff Jafar was using to hypnotize the Sultan, and they try to arrest Jafar, but he sort of magics himself away using ninja smokescreen.
Never leave home without your ninja smokescreen.
That in your pocket, sand. So Jafar gets his parrot to get the lamp.
Does every character have a pet of some kind?
Now that you mention it, I think they do. Oh, the Sultan doesn't have any pets.
Except the princess.
Oh, geez. Yeah, in a way, he does sort of treat it like a pet.
He keeps trying to give her away.
Oh, my God. So Jafar gets the lamp from his Gilbert Gottfried parrot and wishes to become Sultan. Also reveals who Aladdin really is and magics him really far away to some place with a lot of snow. He also moves the palace a couple of kilometers away on top of a mountainside.
Was moving the palace that important? Why not move it a whole lot more?
I think it sort of ties in with a carpet ride fact I told you to hold on to.
Okay, I'll put a pin in that one too.
All right, great. We'll come back to them soon enough. Aladdin returns thanks to the magic carpet, and he fights Jafar, who is now some powerful wizard. Aladdin tricks him, though, by making him realize that he's still second in power to the genie, so Jafar wishes to be a genie, which makes him extremely powerful, but also...
Ah, yeah, he gets stuck inside a lamp, has to grant wishes and all that.
Right. Pretty much everything goes back to normal. Aladdin wishes for Robin Williams' genie to be free, and the Sultan changes the rules so Jasmine can marry Aladdin. They all live happily ever after until one of the sequels where the genie becomes Homer Simpson.
Oh, right. Robin Williams wouldn't come back, so they had to get Hank Azaria. Azaria? Yeah.
Right. But we could talk about that at some other time. Now, it's time to talk about the original Aladdin and the magic lamp.
Ooh, I'm very excited.
It's not quite as drastically changed as Pinocchio was, but boy, there's quite a bit that's different.
Okay, lay it on us.
First of all, it may or may not come from a collection of stories called 1001 Tales or 1001 Arabian Nights.
1001? How long is this going to take?
Yeah, but they're more like parts of bigger stories. The legend is that this woman, Scheherezade, is marrying this psychopath of a king who murders his wives the day after they get married.
I heard of getting cold feet on your honeymoon, but that's a bit extreme.
Yeah, I mean, the guy is supposed to be just like a tyrant, so it's not like he's the symbol of a healthy mind or something like that.
Fair enough.
Anyways, Scheherezade tells a story to the king, but she always leaves on a cliffhanger, so the king won't kill her because he wants to hear the rest of the story.
Hey, Netflix. You listening? You keep canceling those shows without finishing them, and we may all just become a little, mad kingy ourselves.
Oh, that's the truth. They've killed so many shows I liked, but yeah, Aladdin may or may not be in this group of tales.
Okay.
It's just if I don't say so, someone would probably get upset.
I see. Carry on.
So Aladdin isn't some Persian orphan like in the Disney version. First of all, he's not even an orphan. He lives with his mother. His father died because Aladdin was too much of a lazy good-for-nothing.
What? Like he died from overwork or something?
No, he literally was so upset that his son was a worthless piece of trash, he just checks out.
Oh my God, that is some next-level parent guilt.
Right? You'd think so, but even with his father dying because he's a lazy piece of crap, he doesn't change at all. He just keeps on being a lazy piece of crap.
I mean, that's living the dream, really. Do nothing all day, mooch off your parents. Sound like this guy's got the right attitude.
Yeah, this story seems to think so too, as we'll see.
Oh, what? I knew I was onto something.
Right, so he's not an orphan and he's from China.
China?
China. He's not even from Persia, and the whole story basically takes place in China, I think. It gets really confusing.
Well, I definitely didn't see that coming. Oh, is this the tie-in with the carpet scene where they end up in China during some festival?
Yes, exactly.
Wow, Disney paying homage to the original? Doesn't sound like them. I thought they just copied and ran.
So like I said, we start out he's living in China with his mother because he basically murdered his father by being an insufferable layabout.
I mean, you don't have to call me out so harshly, but I guess carry on.
Now, this guy is a real piece of work. You've got nothing to worry about.
I am happy to hear you say that.
So this magician, the story calls him a magician, and I'm calling that from now on. But when I think of a magician, I think of like the Amazing Randy or David Copperfield or something like that.
Some weirdy-beardy magician-y man?
Yeah, so really he's a sorcerer. Imagine like some hoary old wizard.
Or Jafar?
Yeah, instead of some guy in a black suit and a top hat.
Got it.
This magician sees Aladdin and claims to be Aladdin's father's long-lost brother, who's been out, like, traveling the world for 40 years or something.
Yeah, that's a hefty vacay.
You'd think so, but Aladdin and his mom eat this up, and they just go with it. Also, he realizes the kid is basically a bum and offers to make him, like, this super big-wig merchant, trader sort of guy, and buy him a shop and all the wares and everything.
Like some sort of rich uncle venture capitalist?
Right, so he takes him to town and buys him his super nice suit. And then he hikes him really far outside of town. And a kid, he's totally not used to this kind of huffing around and is like, hey, can we stop and chill for a bit?
This evil magician sorcerer guy is totally regretting using Aladdin as his mark. After the first 20, are we there yet?
Oh yeah, at some point he just smacks the crap out of a kid because he tries to run away.
I'm starting to think this magician is actually the hero of this story.
No, just you wait. So they finally come to this spot, and the magician does some magic crap and opens this door on the ground with some stairs that form a pathway down into a cave. He tells Aladdin to go fetch the lamp inside the cave, but not to touch anything or else he'll die instantly. Oh, and he gives him some magic ring to wear that will protect him in the cave.
Good to see this story has both items and armor buffs. I'm also seeing here we're syncing up with the Disney film a bit, yeah?
Yeah, there's a lot of similarity here. Aladdin heads down into the cave, grabs the lamp, and on the way out, there's this sort of line of trees with fruit grown on it, so he grabs some just as he's walking out. These turn out to be really massive gemstones, which will be important soon.
Wouldn't grabbing these cause him to die instantly? Isn't that what the story just said?
You'd think so, but the story already forgot about that pot. Maybe the magician was just lying, who knows?
The latter seems more likely.
The magician sees Aladdin coming out of the cave and is like, hey, quick, toss me the lamp. But Aladdin doesn't want to give it to him until he's left the cave. This makes the magician so mad, he just tosses some fairy dust on the cave, closing it permanently. And the story says he just leaves Persia forever.
Dang, that escalated quickly. I feel like this magician's problem is he has zero patience. Like, all he had to do was wait a few more minutes and he'd have been in the clear. Like, what did you say? Did you say he'd leave Persia? I thought we were in China.
I told you that gets really confusing. And no one in this story is very smart. You'll soon see. So Aladdin is sat in this cave for like 3 days. And at some point, he rubs his hands together to pray. I remember the magician gave him a ring.
Yeah, the protection buff ring.
This genie puffs out of the ring and is like the whole, your wish is my command. And Aladdin is like, get me the fudge out of here. And instantly he's standing outside.
Genie Uber sounds super awesome. Goober.
He's back in his mom's, and instead of being like, oh, Ma, I missed you, I nearly died, and that guy claiming to be my uncle was a lying sorcerer who tried to kill me.
Yeah.
No, instead, he is an insufferable tool, and is just like, Ma, I'm hungry. But remember, they are super poor, so she's like, there's nothing in the fridge. I did manage to make some cotton. I'll go sell that.
Why not just get the ring genie involved in this?
Nah, it's even dumb. He grabs the lamp and is like, here's this thing, let's sell this. Like, he knows this sorcerer guy was itching to get his hands on this lamp. He risked his life getting it and bringing this back, and he's like, nah, just get a bit of coin for this. On top of that, he's got these gemstones he could sell too and could probably live off the money he'd make for years. But no, he thinks they should sell the land, and was even about to try to sell it as is, all tarnished and old looking. But his mother, being at least a little smart, decides to give it a little spit polish so they could maybe get some more money for it.
She rubs the lamp.
And out puffs the genie and scares the crap out of her so she faints. While she's out, this Aladdin has a perishing hunger on and can't even be bothered to worry about his mother, and orders the genie to set like a full-course meal out for him. His mother wakes up to see all these silver platters of food everywhere and is like, where the hell you get all this food? Aladdin is just like, Ma, shut your hole and eat.
I love how loving and close these two are. That mother-son bond.
Yeah, really. It's almost like Ma really resents having to take care of his lazy butt.
It really seems that way.
So, this guy has not one, but two magic genies, the lamp and the ring. How do you think life goes from now on?
Well, does he wish for money or a house or something?
No. They sell the silver platters, and when money runs out and they're out of the platters, they wish for more food on platters. That's the racket these two geniuses come up with.
That's so stupid.
And it goes on for years.
I guess if you don't want to draw attention to yourself, but I feel like that's not the motivation here.
Yeah, I think this is literally as far ahead as this street rat can muster. So he catches a glimpse of the Sultan's daughter one day, the princess, and he's like beyond smitten. In fact, he comes home so completely head over heels, it actually kind of worries his mother. So he sends her to the Sultan along with the jewels he picked up when he was getting a lamp. And he gets her to ask for the princess's hand in marriage. At first, the Sultan just ignores this poor old woman, but he eventually lets her speak and sees the jewels as well as hearing about how mad in love Aladdin is, and he's inclined to let her marry him.
What, so no stipulations like she can only marry a prince or anything like that?
No, but there's this vizier. He's no sorcerer or anything like that, but he wants his son to marry the princess. So he convinces the Sultan to make Aladdin wait 3 months before they can get married, mostly so the vizier can have some time to work up a better offer.
What is a vizier anyways?
So a sultan is like a king and a vizier is kind of like a prime minister.
I see.
This plan works, and the Sultan eventually caves to the vizier's offer and agrees to let the princess marry the vizier's son. Aladdin's mom hears about this and rushes home to tell him. You see, it's only been like 2 months, so the Sultan has broken his promise. Aladdin just sort of calmly realizes for once he has a freaking magic genie and devises a plan.
I like how this guy just sort of forgets he's got a magic genie in his pocket until it's like absolutely necessary, such that only a magical intervention is capable of fixing things.
What I tell you, he's a lazy idiot. I mean, even his brain is lazy.
So what amazing plan does he come up with?
On their wedding night, he gets the genie to move the princess's bed, along with the bride and groom, to Aladdin's place and just sort of put the vizier's son, the groom, like out in the street in a cold somewhere, only returning both of them in the morning back to the palace.
So what? She just hangs out in his house? In her own bed?
Oh, and this psychopath Aladdin just lays down next to her and is like, look, lady, you are supposed to marry me, so just relax. You'll be returned in the morning unharmed. And he just lays there and sleeps next to her through the night.
Oh my gosh.
She's so terrified by the whole thing. She not only says nothing all night, it takes the threat of beheading before she'll tell the Sultan what happened.
So what happens after they return?
Nothing the first night, but after the second night, the vizier's son is like, ain't nobody got time for this. Please take her back. She ain't worth it.
Wow. So like 2 nights on the streets is enough for this guy to just completely give up.
Yeah, pretty much.
So what, Aladdin then jumps in and...
No, he waits till the 3 months has passed and sends his mother to remind the Sultan of their deal. But remember, his mom is poor.
Yeah, poor, despite having extravagant gems and a seemingly endless supply of silver platters. And 2 freaking genies.
Now you're getting it. The Sultan takes one look at her and is like, crap, I forgot about this, but there's no way I'm letting my daughter marry this poor trash. So he says the only way he can marry his daughter is to embrace yourself here, because it gets a bit racy.
Oh, now it does?
He tells her that he needs to bring 40 big gold basins or giant gold pots filled with gems and jewels, and they need to be carried by 40 black slaves and accompanied by 40 white slaves.
I mean, I guess points for inclusivity, but negative 1,000 for specifying they need to be slaves. Plus, it's a bit sus the white slaves all seem to be in a supervisory role.
Yeah, this Sultan may be a tad bit racist. Aladdin's mother heads back to Aladdin, feeling like all hope is lost, because she too apparently forgot they have a freaking all-powerful genie. Of course, for some reason, Aladdin didn't forget and sets out with slaves, gold, and even more than entourage accompanying him. So extravagantly, even people he grew up with couldn't recognize him. Also, as he's making his way to the Sultan's palace, he's having slaves tossing money out to the crowd like it's a Mardi Gras parade.
That must suck for them. For all we know, right? They were just poofed into existence a few minutes before this and just to exist as a slave. And then immediately they were made to give away just a bunch of money to random people. That's gotta sting.
Especially for the black slaves who gotta lug around 40 giant gold pots full of jewels.
It would seem the times they aren't a-changin' very much.
Yeah, at least Pinocchio enslaved children who got turned into donkeys.
Is that better?
It's all pretty bad, really.
We do sort of see this scene in the Disney version. So what happens?
The Sultan sees all this, and his eyes pop out of his head like a cartoon fox looking at an attractive woman. He practically throws his daughter at him. The princess also seems pretty okay with the whole thing. Aladdin also has the genie make some huge palace for him and the princess to live in.
Wouldn't she recognize him as the guy she had to awkwardly sleep next to after randomly being transported to another house while in her own bed?
I mean, this is ancient times, so it would have been dark, and she was probably scared and too freaked out to really notice.
I guess so, that makes sense. So Aladdin's the prince now? I do see how these 2 stories sort of overlap, but yeah, they are quite different.
Oh, it's not finished.
Really?
Remember, the magician is still out there.
Yeah, but didn't he leave Persia forever?
Yeah, the story says that, but in this case they mean forever until he comes back. Or maybe they're back in China. I'm really not sure.
So as per Disney, does he come back and become a crazy, powerful sorcerer and turn into a giant snake and all that?
No, that's classic Disney story bloat. See, he hears about Aladdin and finds out not only is he alive, but he clearly has the lamp. So he heads back to China or Persia or wherever this takes place. Not even his story can keep it straight at this point.
I know I sure can't.
He comes to town dressed as this old beggar, but instead of begging, he's telling everyone he'll trade their old lamps for some brand new shiny ones.
Wouldn't Aladdin very much not go for that sort of thing?
Yeah, but he's out hunting, and his wife, the princess, hears about this weird guy trading lamps because her slaves, staff, are giggling about how stupid this guy must be. She's, feeling a bit bad about people laughing at him and tells his slaves, take that lamp over there to go have them swap it out for a new one.
Wait. Wouldn't Aladdin have told her what it was? If I have a magic genie lamp, even if I don't tell my wife exactly what it is, which is kind of a dick move anyways, I'm at least going to be like something like, this is my father's last possession and it means the world to me, so never get rid of it, or something like that.
I told you, this kid is an absolute idiot. But would you really want your wife to have access to an all-powerful genie that could wish for anything she wanted?
Oh, 100%. We'd be sharing those wishes, especially since the genie doesn't seem to have any wish limitations.
I don't know. I'd be afraid my wife would be wishing me taller or hell, even replacing me with like John Stamos or something like that.
Yeah, true, but flip side, if the genie could make you look like John Stamos, you'd still have your wife and she'd be happy, you'd be happy.
Nah, man, I'm gorgeous. I don't need to look like anyone else.
Too true. So what does the magician do with the lamp?
Again, the people in this story are idiots. Instead of just disappearing to somewhere else in the world and having his genie make him wealthy and happy, he decides he wants petty revenge on this kid who he basically put in this position to begin with.
Yeah, if he didn't try to swindle him in the first place, none of this would have ever happened.
Totally. He's punishing Aladdin because he got mad at him and locked him in the cave. I'm telling you, everyone in this story is so dumb. So he has the genie move the whole palace, slaves, princess, and all, to some random remote place in Africa.
Imagine being a slave, like doing the dishes. You look out the window one minute and you see China or Persia or wherever the heck they are, and you look down to scrub a pot and lift up your head and like, there's Africa. Second to being poofed into existence, into servitude, that's got to be up there with freaky things that could happen to you.
I feel like at this point, the slaves would just be like, I really wish these magical creatures could settle their problems without involving us.
Yeah, they're like, I'm a slave to an absolute idiot, and even this is a bit much.
Yeah. So the Sultan looks out and sees the palace is just gone. So he hauls Aladdin in and accuses him of having something to do with it, and is about to chop off his head. But the townsfolk see him manhandling Aladdin, so they start to mob smash the Sultan. Not only does he relent, he even pardons him in front of them so they'll back off.
See, this is why violent protests are sometimes necessary.
No, gee. Aladdin is like, what the hell, man? Why were you about to chop off my head? What can I do? The Sultan points to the missing palace, and Aladdin is super upset. He begs the Sultan to give him 40 days to find her. Several days in, he's barely been able to find out anything. So he kneels by a river, all distraught, rubs his hands together praying, and out pops genie number 2 from the ring.
He's got 2 genies. Can this guy just not count to 2? It's not so many as to not be able to keep up with them.
I feel like for Aladdin, it kind of is.
Yikes.
He asks the genie to bring back the palace, but the genie says only the genie of the lamp can do it.
This sets up like a sort of hierarchy of genie abilities. Like you've got like big genie and little genie, and like, it's like the nesting doll of genies.
Or maybe the genies can't undo what other genies do?
Could be. Maybe you need the original, like you need the original werewolf to break the curse.
I think we're putting way more thought into this than the story ever did. But the genie is able to send him where the palace has been relocated to, so he sends Aladdin to Africa.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-dum-bum-bum. Ba-boom. It's gonna take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that I
he hears the wild dogs crying in the night, growing restless for solitary company and all that.
I'm just gonna be singing Africa for the next 20 minutes, so just ignore me.
Anyways, one of her slaves or servants, whichever makes you feel better, happen to see Aladdin and lets the princess know. They are reunited, and he learns it was the magician that did all this. So they hatch a plan.
Oh, is it like to have the ring genie put the magician out in the jungle for the next couple of nights till he gives up?
No, this plan is actually pretty clever, for them at least. I think over the years he's learned a thing or two. Though he still can't seem to be bothered to remember he has 2 magic genies. So basically, he has the princess tell the magician that she wants to have supper with him. She reveals that she has accepted what he's been telling her, that like Aladdin is dead and beheaded by the Sultan and all that. And she has decided to have dinner with him, but she's sick of Chinese wines and wants to try some African wines.
So the plan is to have dinner with him and what, bore him to death with really awkward dinner talk like it's a blind date?
No, see, during the day, Aladdin had gone to town and bought some powder and gave it to the princess. When the Sultan runs down to the cellar to grab some wine, she puts the powder into his drink. When he gets back, he pours her a glass of African wine, and they toast, throwing it back like a shot of tequila for some reason.
I mean, when you have a perishing thirst on, you just want to crack into it right then and there. Maybe even sit on the stoop.
That is true. The magician drinks every last drop of his wine and falls over dead.
What is it, iocane?
Nah, that's inconceivable. Aladdin grabs the lamp and puts everything back to right.
Wow, that was a much more surprising ending than I had anticipated.
Yeah, except that's not the end.
Huh? Wait, does the magician have a brother?
The magician has a brother. He finds out what happened somehow and heads to China to get revenge.
This family of weirdy-beardy magician-y men really need to just chill with revenge. It does not work well for them.
You don't know how true you are. So he meets with this religious woman called Fatima, who is kind of well known. She is kind of like a Mother Teresa sort of character of her time, but less evil.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I hope she's a bit nicer.
Well, it doesn't matter because straight away this guy murders her so he can disguise himself as her.
I'm assuming they're kind of similar build because, say, if I were to off Mother Teresa so I could dress like her, I feel like more than just a few people would notice.
No, I guess they look similar. So he heads over to where Aladdin's palace is and starts going around the nearby city performing miracles and things like that. I guess he's a bit of a sorcerer too.
Runs in the family along with a strong lack of patience and stupidity.
Yeah, right. So the princess has always wanted to meet Fatima, so she calls her to the palace. She tries to convince her to stay, but this Fatima just sort of breaks into some feng shui and tells her that what's really missing from this palace is a giant mythical bird's egg called a roc's egg, like hanging in the middle of like the big palace hall.
I feel like the modern remake would just have this replaced with The Rock.
Dwayne Johnson's just hanging in the middle of the palace.
At some point before dinner, he has to shout out, "I can smell what you're cooking."
Oh my God. So the princess tells Aladdin that she's now obsessed with getting this roc's egg. So Aladdin is like, no problem, I got you. And he goes to make the request to the genie. The genie instead totally lays into him and is like, I've done all this for you. And now you ask to have my master hung in your palace.
So this rock mythical giant bird's egg is the genie's master?
Yeah, something like that. It is a bit vague, but that does seem to be a potential origin for genies. So the genie is so pissed and is like, you and your wife deserve to be disintegrated. But this isn't you or her asking for this. It's the brother of the magician who murdered a religious woman to gain access to you so he can murder you. I'm out. And he just sort of stomps off, poofs away, whatever you want to call it.
That was very kindly expository of the genie.
Yeah, it's like the storyteller is some parent putting their kid to sleep and is ready for the story to end and was like, and then the genie told them everything so they could hurry up and deal with it and go to bed.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
You need to use the toilet?
Yes, but also I'm quite curious how they dispatched with this man dressed as a holy woman whose plan for revenge seems to be to get Aladdin's wife to obsess over interior decorating.
Okay. I mean, he's the brother of the magician. What did you expect?
That is an entirely accurate point.
So Aladdin has the princess tell this imposter, Fatima, that he's got a headache and he wants her to heal him.
Oh no, I've got a headache.
When the false Fatima comes close, Aladdin stabs her in the chest and then reveals to the princess that it was in fact some random guy in a disguise.
Yeah, that last bit of the story really did feel like an appendix rather than a continuation of the original story. So what happens next?
You'll be happy to hear that's the end. Aladdin and a princess live happily ever after. He becomes Sultan. He has many generations of successors, yada, yada, yada.
I mean, he could have wished to live forever or be eternally youthful or free from disease or king of the world or for poverty and wealth disparity to be done away with or...
Yeah, but he's an idiot, so he just dies, probably forgetting he even has one, let alone two genies.
What is the moral of this story? Like be lazy and entitled, and one day a scammer could luck you into absolute power and money?
Never follow your dreams unless your dream is to marry some woman you saw 5 minutes ago. Then follow that dream without any hesitation.
Just marry that woman, yeah. You know the biggest difference from Disney version to this one?
I mean, the Disney version, at least Aladdin was sort of a good guy.
Yeah, there's that. But there's absolutely zero pets in this version.
Oh, yeah, like no parrot, no monkey, no elephant.
No flying carpet.
True. No whole new worlds to be sung.
You know, unlike Pinocchio, I actually think the Disney version was much better.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with you. That in this version, Aladdin is kind of a jerk to everyone except maybe his wife. He's a real jerk to his mother and his father. He doesn't really deserve anything that happens to him.
Yeah, in the Disney version, you feel happy to see Jasmine and Aladdin together, even though both stories have a happy ending. I'm just not super happy about the second one. A lot of slaves. I'm also really curious. Last time you mentioned another Disney film that was quite different from the original.
All right. The Little Mermaid. All right, I'll have to remember that for next time.
Thank you so much for joining us. If you stayed through the whole thing, all I can offer you is our sincerest apologies. We can't give you money back because you didn't pay anything. But if you have indeed enjoyed the unique perspectives of these Sillious sodices, then perhaps you're the kind of person that is filled with wishful thinking. And if so, you're going to want to like, subscribe, and rub that bell like it has a century's worth of tarnish on it. Also, share it with all your friends because if they're anything like you, they're going to desperately need some wish fulfillment, and we're happy to be the ones to bring that to them. If you are still here after I finish my pointless ramblings, I'll be sure to have something to make it worth your while. If you like this project and would like to see more, tough. We'll only do more if you act as all good teenagers do and take off your clothes. We'll see you in the next one. Have a great day. Oh, that's so much better.
Yeah? Drained the lizard?
Dude, you have no idea how much coffee I drank before we started. It was such a huge glass.
You should hold off on that before we record.
Yeah, that's probably true. But once the coffee's in front of me, I can't stop myself. I just gulp it down.
I know what you mean. I'm no good without my morning coffee. Got afternoon coffee.
Okay. So, funny thing. As I was standing in the toilet, I had a huge epiphany.
Oh, yeah? Is it about the show?
No, it's about this story. You know how you keep saying that everyone in it is just absolutely stupid? They're just idiots?
Yeah, not a single person makes a good decision in this whole story.
You know what I realized?
Now what?
The magician had a freaking genie the entire time.
Oh my God.
And gave it to Aladdin in order to get a second genie.
What? Yeah, that's totally true. What an absolute idiot.
Why? Why did he want a second one?
I guess two is better than one, but the ring genie seemed to be able to do some pretty powerful stuff, though.
Yeah, he got him out of the cave, moved him from Persia or China all the way to Africa. Stands to reason that genie was powerful enough.
Well, I don't know how that didn't register for me. I was too busy telling the story, I guess, to realize, yeah, he just gives him the ring to, quote-unquote, protect him in the cave.
Yeah.
When he could have just been using the ring the whole time.
Yeah. Then he gives him the ring, only for Aladdin to then get the lamp because he's too impatient to wait for him to come out of the cave and give him the lamp.
Wow. I think the sorcerer wins the title of dumbest guy in the story. And that is a very hard competition for this story.
What's that list? Sorcerer, Aladdin, Sorcerer's brother?
Yeah, I think a brother gets to be at the bottom only because we only see him for 20 seconds in the story.
Yeah, had he had longer to cook, we'd probably be having a much harder time with this.
Dang. I can't believe I didn't realize that about the ring. Wow, good catch. You going to put this in?
I'll probably add this at the end.
All right, so hey, if you're listening and you made it to the end, let us know by typing ring bearer in the comments.
Yeah. I'm going to go get some more coffee. We pick this up again next week, same time?
Sounds great.
Later.
See you later.